In this video, I'm going to show you my top 5 soccer tips for beginners. And the best part is that you can start implementing these ideas today and start taking your game to the next level. My name is Chris Lee and I'm founder of thesoccerlifestyle.com. And if you're looking for strategies and techniques that are going to make you a better player, you're going to love this video. So I encourage you to keep watching all the way through. Let's jump into tip number 1, which is to develop a love for the game. Falling in love with soccer is going to make the rest of your journey in this game so much easier. Because really, when you love soccer, several positive outcomes follow. You have more fun, you take it more seriously, and you devote yourself to improvement. The question is, how do you actually fall in love with the game? Well, really, there's several ways. You can play soccer as much as you can watch professional games on television, you can attend those pro games in person, you can play soccer video games like FIFA, or you can watch highlight videos of the best players on YouTube. Because in reality, here's the truth, is that a lot of beginners, they play soccer, but they don't love soccer. So if you do a lot of those things I just mentioned, it's gonna help you develop a love for the game. Several years ago, I convinced a friend of mine who at the time was a beginner to start watching my favorite team on television. He started watching all their games, and eventually he fell in love with the team, and as a result, he fell more in love with the game. It's no coincidence that soon after, his rate of improvement just skyrocketed because he started, and I don't think it's a coincidence that he started loving the game more and he started improving as a soccer player really quickly. So really, the more you watch soccer, the more you love soccer, and the more you love soccer, you'll just naturally enjoy playing the game and you want to become a better player. So it's just this positive cycle that if you subscribe to this positive cycle, it's going to make the rest of the tips I'm about to give you so much easier to implement. So again, to recap, learn to love the game of soccer. Tip number 2 is to be aware of your surroundings. So I know I'm watching beginners when I see several outfield players just chasing the ball wherever it goes all over the field like a swarm of bees. Now, look, don't get me wrong. There's times when you need to chase down the ball, but for beginners, you often overdo it and you leave your position on the pitch and become unhelpful to your team. And when too many players on a team are just following the ball wherever it goes, your offense becomes ineffective and your team's defense becomes easier to beat. So if you can start learning how to be in the right place at the right time, you're going to be way ahead of the game. But the question is, how do you actually start practicing this awareness of your surroundings, learning to be in the right place at the right time? How do you actually practice that? Well, the easiest thing to implement is that when your team has possession, but you don't have the ball, but your team has the ball, don't just stare at the ball. Don't just ball watch. A lot of beginners get caught in this ball watching trap, right? Wherever the ball is, they're just following the ball wherever it goes with their eyes. They're staying in one place, or they're just kind of jogging in one place, jogging wherever the ball goes when your teammates have it. Don't do that. What you just do is, you look at the ball and then you scan the field around you, and then you ask yourself, how can I be helpful to my teammates? And then you move into positions where your teammates can pass you the ball. So if you see open space on the field, move into that position. So you look at your teammate who has the ball, you look over your shoulders. Hey, I see I'm being marked up right now. I can look over my shoulder and I can see there's an opponent behind me. But I can look over this shoulder and I can see, hey, there's some space here. So I'm going to move into that space and I'm going to look at the ball when I do that. And this way I'm constantly evaluating what's going on around me and I can move into positions where I can be helpful to my teammate. Now, when your team does not have the ball, when you guys are defending, again, same rule applies. Don't just ball watch, right? So keep your head on a swivel and you're looking around and you're seeing, okay, look at your position on the pitch. First thing is I'm going to pick up a man. I'm not marking anybody right now, so where's the nearest person? I'm going to go in, I'm going to get close to them, I'm going to get tight, so that way the opponents can't pass the ball to the player that I'm marking. Another option is that if there's nobody near you to mark up, you don't want to just run 20 yards to go mark somebody. Stay in your position, but just look to fill some space. Keep your head on a swivel, look at the ball, look around you, and say, hey, I'm like standing right next to my teammate. We're right next to each other. Why don't I just go ahead and move to this space over here, over my shoulder, and then now I'm occupying some space, and that gives helps out on defense. The opponents can't just move into that space very easily now because I'm defending that space, right? So many players, again, they just keep their eyes glued to the ball and they completely forget where they are on the field. And as a result, you can't help your team on offense and you become a liability to your team on defense. So the solution is, again, just to look at the ball, look at the space around you, look at the ball, look at the space around you, and Just keep your head on a swivel and constantly reevaluate. Move and occupy space in the field where you can be an asset to your team. Learn to be in the right place at the right time. So tip number 3 is to be consistent. Become a consistent player. Learn how to be more consistent. Well, what does that really mean? I'm going to tell you a personal story of mine. When I was 8 years old, I tried out for my first competitive soccer team. This team, they cut you if you weren't good enough. Several of my friends made the team, but I did not. I got cut, I failed, and frankly, I was devastated. I went home and I threw my soccer cleats in the trash can and I cried my eyes out. My mom put her arm around my shoulder and she gave me a big hug. She encouraged me not to give up, not to quit. And eventually I did take her advice and I went outside, I grabbed my cleats out of the trash can, I decided to continue playing. The following year, I decided to go and try out for the team again, and I made it. And for the next several years, I was determined to consistently devote my time and effort to soccer. I wasn't going to quit when I failed or when the times got hard. I was going to be consistent. And the biggest lesson I learned was, from that experience of getting cut was don't give up, don't quit. You're going to experience failure and losses in this game. That's totally normal. But I encourage you to learn from your setbacks and decide to show up and give your best effort again tomorrow. Approach the game with a positive attitude and just keep going. Spend your personal time devoting yourself to the game, devoting yourself to the process of excellence, participating in the exercises that are going to make you a better player, mentally and physically. And if you do this, if you become consistent, if you don't quit when the times get hard, one day you'll be amazed at where you end up. So let's jump into tip number 4 now, and that's develop your technical skills. So your technical skills represent your individual ability with the soccer ball. As a beginner soccer player, improving your technical skills is going to make a huge difference, a noticeable difference in your game. Your technical skills include things like your first touch, your ability to receive the ball, to dribble with confidence, to shoot with power and accuracy, to pass across short and long distances. So the question is, how do you actually improve your technical skills? The number one way is to just get as many touches on the ball as possible, and just really the number one way to do that is to get out there and just play as much soccer as you can. Play in the backyard, play with your team, play with friends in the street or at the park. Just play. The saying goes that to achieve mastery of anything, you got to spend at least 10,000 hours doing it. This is called the 10,000 hour rule. So the more hours of playing time you experience, the greater your technical skills are going to be. And so when you're not playing soccer with others, because you can't always go and play soccer with other people, but what you can do is you can play soccer by yourself. You can spend time with the ball on your own. So I encourage you to dribble the soccer ball around your house, safely and with permission, of course. If that's, you can also go outside and spend time training on your own in the backyard, in the street, in the driveway, at the local park. You can buy a training program like mine and do the exercises wherever you have space. And I'll link to my training program below. You can watch it, soccer videos on YouTube, TikTok, and do those exercises as well. But bottom line is that it's essential. You gotta spend lots of time with the ball, honing your technical skills. And that's gonna take your technical skills to the next level. Tip number 5 is to focus on the process, not on the outcome. So as a beginner soccer player, if you can focus on the process, not on the outcome, you're gonna get better outcomes. Well, what do I mean by that? A common mistake that beginners make is that they focus on outcomes, things like scoring more goals, winning games, or winning trophies. And in reality, you just can't control any of those things. You can't control whether or not you're going to make the team. The best thing you can do as a beginner and an experienced player alike is just to focus on the process of improving your game. So if I go into a game, for example, thinking, look, I've got to score 2 goals today. That's what I'm going to do. I got to score 2 goals today in this game that I'm playing in. It's easy to start piling on the pressure or start daydreaming about the cheers I'm going to get from the crowd, the praise I'm going to get from my coaches and teammates, my friends and family who are watching. But when the moment comes to actually shoot the ball during the game, I might have a hard time being focused because I'm daydreaming. And so the best thing to tell yourself is to say, look, all right, I want to score goals today. I want to score 2 goals today, but that's the last time I'm thinking about it. I'm going to take a deep breath. And I'm going to be focused on the present moment. I'm going to focus on making a good connection with the ball. I'm going to focus on using the right technique.
I'm going to focus on which part of the goal I'm aiming for. I'm going to focus on moving into space on the field, keeping my head on a swivel, like we talked about earlier, and moving into space where I can be a danger to the other team, where I can create an opportunity to score for myself. And by focusing on the process of scoring goals, by focusing on the process of shooting the ball well, you're more likely to score those goals that you're focused on doing without necessarily thinking about the end result, right? You're just thinking about the process. You're staying present. Another great example, and this is why I encourage you to watch professional games on television, and I encourage you to watch the pre-game show and the post-game show. And what you're going to get is you're going to listen to journalists and interviewers, reporters. They're talking to these coaches after the game, and they're saying things like, "Hey, coach, are you looking forward to winning that trophy at the end of the season?" Because that's what writes the headlines. That's what gets clicks. That's what the fans want to know. But time and again, coaches they answer that question well, and they say, "Look, we want to fight for every trophy this season, but our focus is only on the next game." And the best coaches know that by keeping their team hyper-focused on the next task in front of them, which is that next game, step by step, they're going to work towards their ultimate goal of winning that trophy. And that's because the best know that they're never satisfied. They never rest in their laurels. They're always out to prove something. They love the process of continually trying to get better. And this tip ties back to the beginning of this video. If you have a love for the game, and it's going to be really easy to learn how to have a love for the process. And I'm telling you, you can learn how to do all this too. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Now, I want to turn it over to you. Which tip are you going to try first? Are you going to work on deepening your love for the game? Are you going to work on improving your technical skills? Let me know by leaving a comment below right now.